I wish that.
Okay, we are streaming.
We are streaming. Lighten the meeting up, you know?
I missed you, Bob. You're not the same on Zoom.
Yeah, there is an effect that's lost.
Okay, up. Sure.
Okay, get my paperwork organized here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're ready to go. Okay, I'm going to start with roll call for our June 14th, 2021 Hamburg Industrial Development Agency regular board meeting. Cam Hall.
Present.
Bob Hutchison. Here. Let me just one more check his Zoom. Do not see Janet yet. Mayor Moses.
Here.
Chairman Palmer.
Here.
Davis Bukalski.
Here.
Mr. Reynolds.
Present.
And Ms. Russert Kelly.
Here.
Good to see you. And Wentz is not on. Next, we'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Motion, please, to open the Board of Directors meeting at 7:33 a.m.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Andy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting open. First item on the agenda are the meeting minutes from our meeting on May 19th, 2021. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve those.
Thank you, Cam.
Second.
Thank you, Mayor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the financial report. We did have a question on the April financials. Those April financials were tabled. Bob, I have the copy that emails. You want me to speak to it, or?
Yeah, we can speak to it a little bit.
Okay. So, welcome, Janet.
Hi, thanks.
Okay, so there was a question in terms of the math on the April financial report. It reported a net income of $970,479 and change. Yet it reported the income to date as a lesser amount. It was $958,943. The explanation of that is between January and March, we had a negative net income. We had expenses but no income. So we were essentially, when we received that revenue for the month and then had to book the year, which we had a deficit for the year, it resulted in a lesser amount. So that if you take the April net income, net out the deficit of negative $11,536 in expenses, it resulted in the year-to-date income of $958,943. Make sense for everyone?
Any questions on it? Then I'd like to make a motion to approve the tabled financial report for April.
Thank you, Bob.
Second.
Thank you, Mayor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next is the financial report from May 31st, 2021.
So happy to report that we had some administrative fees income this month. We had $105,500 in administrative fees. Our interest is $123,000, so we had $105,623.73 in interest. Our expenses are pretty normal all the way through, with our biggest expenses being payroll and benefits. So we did have a conference seminar expense in there, but that comes out of that budget, so we're okay there. So at the end of this May 31st, in the Hamburg Industrial Development Agency, we have $691,424.90. I make a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Norma. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, on my report, just a couple of things briefly. With the training, I am continuing. I have 2 classes. There's 6 classes for the Certified Economic Development Consultant Program. There's really no, in the local market, no IDA director that has that certification. In next week, I will have actually the first in-person training in Acapulco, or Albany rather.
I'll just say, oh, just a minute, you're good.
In Albany, and which is
You
exciting.
need a partner to go.
It's exciting nonetheless to be on the road and be kind of like in a normal conference setting. So the most recent one was financing and financial analysis. This one is strategic planning, I believe. So following next week, I'll be halfway through. There's a final certification exam at the end, but it's nice to be making progress in that, and look forward to networking with my peers in an in-person setting, because sometimes 3 or 4 days of training on Zoom can get a bit agonizing. We are carrying some project closings, 290 Lake Street. I've been working with them to make some connections and kind of bring that site up on the radar in terms of tenancy. Certainly construction costs are a hurdle, and we've done a project extension there, but certainly leasing of the commercial space. So I'm trying to really help them and consult with them to get some occupancy over there. In addition, that site is going to be, jumping ahead a little bit, but the Gateway Revitalization project that the town is doing, one of the areas of focus will be that Camp Lake corridor between the town and into the village. So that should also encourage some tenancy, encourage investment in that area, because there will be some hopefully municipal investments in there. Right now, the scope of the committee is to establish the RFP for the design services. So that's kind of where we're at. So it's years out, but it's progress nonetheless. That's where this all begins. We have E1 KH that we've been driving towards closing, and then certainly Bayview Road Associates, and we'll have some more updates on that today. Palace Theater, thanks for everyone that showed up. We had some nice press out of that. We gave them their first construction disbursement payment. So that's a great project, and the construction is ensuing, and everything looks very positive. So that was a great action done by the Land Corp to move that project forward. Interest rates and investments, I have done some research on that. We're looking at about 18 basis points right now as a current interest rate in our bank accounts. As you know, we're rather limited as a municipal entity in terms of where we can invest our money. So we're really limited to moving up and locking up available monies in certificates of deposit. At this time, the highest local rate that I got from a bank is 28 basis points. So from 18 to 28 basis points on a 1-year certificate of deposit. I did also find, Sallie Mae is a non-local depositor. They all were offering 55 basis points for the certificate of deposit. What I would like to do, is discussed in the executive committee. I think a good plan is to monitor these certificates of deposit and continue to research to see if there will be a boost in interest rates in the next month or two, and then we decide to lock it. I think it does make sense to move some of these monies if there is no immediate plan to deploy capital, but potentially look into essentially kicking the can down the road and hopefully locking in 2 or 3 months from now at a higher interest rate.
Just so the board knows, we looked at this whole thing, and obviously it wasn't a great increase on that little one, but Sallie Mae was pretty big. But with the Fed's meeting right now and the inflation, everything like this, you want to see how they're going to kind of react to the inflation. If we're going to don't lock in so early now, but maybe we got to wait a month or so and take a look at this inflationary. If they're going to come back with higher interest rates against the inflationary tendencies that we got right now in the marketplace. So that was what the board was looking at too.
So we will Yeah, so my office will continue just to monitor it, probably provide an update next week, see if there's any trending, and then, look at making a decision from there. But certainly, I think it's an important area of focus. Projects are continuing to drive forward. We have Apollo Coatings, Key Energy. These projects are inching forward. Carwell is still working through the project budget. We have some projects that are kind of on again, off again, that aren't carried here due to the cost of construction and just getting the investment. So that's still a hurdle. On to legislation, the state legislature wrapped up their session. We were able to, we connected with Rivera and Ryan, and the legislation for IDA consolidation in Western New York did not gain any traction. It was not approved in either house. An interesting piece of legislation that really slipped under the radar that was approved in both houses is a piece of legislation that states any local IDAs cannot charge a different project fee than the county IDA. So this piece of legislation has been approved by both houses, the Senate and the Assembly. It's on the governor's desk for sign off. My recommendation would be to communicate to the governor's office and just speak to, I would be in favor of not charging more than the county, but if we can manage overhead and expenses and charge less, then I don't see why any investors in our area should be penalized for that. Or we could potentially look at our entire fee schedule and maybe reset the model, where maybe the IDA would take on some additional expenses on behalf of the developer that would essentially effectively moderate that increase.
Where do we stand now, do you know?
We charge 1%
Yeah.
of an entire project.
Right.
The county currently charges 1.25%. So, and again, this does have to be signed in by the
So if
governor.
the governor signs it, we have
Come
to,
along.
come in line with all the county fees then, right?
Yes. And I sent it to Jennifer because initially it didn't make sense to me,
Right.
that if it was less, but it's the same. So,
State law that doesn't make sense.
so again, it's not a law. So there is some opportunity here to communicate our position. I did talk to some of the other local IDAs, didn't have a lot of interest in pursuing it, but I think it should be communicated to the governor's office. And, we have some connections there through Empire State Development, through the lieutenant governor, and we can at least speak our piece to it. Worst case scenario, like I said, if the board, decides that it's an initiative, we can look at the fee schedule and potentially rework some things.
Would you recommend a letter from the board to the governor? Or is that something just from your office, or what are you asking from us?
I'm just looking at this point to update you, I guess for, permission to send a letter, I think would be appropriate for me,
Right.
and then to see where it goes.
Would you need a resolution for that?
We would?
I would
Okay,
put something in the minutes.
okay. I'll put we'll have a resolution at the end here, at the end of the agenda, we'll have that.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. Looking ahead, I was looking to reschedule the July meeting a week out to July 28th, same time and place. And do we need a resolution for that if the board,
Yes,
after some discussion? Okay.
a motion at least, because you are altering the calendar that you had.
Does anyone have any questions on that? It's
Is that the
personal
week you're in
vacation of mine? No. Unfortunately, anytime soon. I don't know if I want to go down.
It's hot.
That-
How about
Sean,
down
that
to
probably
LA?
would not be a
Hold
good
on.
day for me.
You can't make that day?
No, it's my birthday. I'm.
Ah,
25, 26?
Exactly, you've got it, 26.
what if we bring cake?
No, thank you.
I just wonder, Sean, with the restrictions lifting, Are we allowed to have remote participants?
As of today, you are.
As of today, we
Is
are.
that a
Who knows
separate
if July
action they have to
28th.
take to?
The ability to have the Zoom meetings is in the executive order that the governor has issued under his, and extended under his emergency powers.
Okay.
So if he does not extend that emergency order, then you will no longer have the ability to.
That's what I thought, okay.
The current order goes through, it's almost at the end of this month. So,
The end of June, okay.
I'll keep an eye on that so we know how to handle the July meeting.
I'll make a motion to amend the meeting calendar as you've suggested, Sean.
Okay, and then,
I'll second.
I think as long as we can have quorum, we can carry with it. Thank you, Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Please remember to give
Opposed?
notice to the local press.
Will do.
That's here at, that would be here at.
Yeah, same place, same time, just a week later. Thank you. Appreciate that. And then as we carried on, we have a thick agenda tonight. So we do have, I've carried some meetings. Like I said, things continue to open up, which is great. I've been meeting more in person. Anna Real Estate, I've met with their commercial brokerage staff in person. Hilbert Advisory Council was in person. So that's very exciting. The Hamburg Development Company, we've been continuing to promote that program. Remember, the PPP programs are drawing out. So we hope to have more traction in the business development loan fund going into 2021. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Unfinished business, we have a policy here. Policy review and resolution for the Hamburg Industrial Development Agency. These policies were submitted in the last meeting. This is a resolution of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency confirming its policies. Whereas the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency has conducted an annual review of its existing policies. Now therefore be it resolved as follows, that the Hamburg IDA hereby confirms and readopts the following existing policies: HIDA bylaws, audit committee charter, finance committee charter, governance committee charter, code of ethics and conflict of interest policy, defense/indemnification and officers and employees policy, financial disclosure policy, investment policy, procurement policy, property disposal guidelines, real property acquisition policy, reimbursement and attendance policy, sexual harassment policy, sexual harassment complaint form, travel policy, whistleblower policy, combined fee schedule, data gathering procedure, employee compensation program, local labor policy, memo of understanding with countywide policy, recapture policy, uniform tax exemption and deviation policy, access to agency records policy. Said policies will remain posted on official website, and this resolution shall take effect immediately.
So moved.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Bob Hutchison. Any questions?
I just want to, two things. These books are ours, right? And then if we leave the board, we return the book back to the.
They're public policies. I mean, they can
Okay.
be accessed. It's not necessarily confidential information.
Okay.
Certainly, in the interest of maintaining costs,
Right.
if we could
Right.
have them back
We
and
do
then we
do
could
that at school.
redeploy them.
And if Mary put this together, she did an excellent job.
Oh, yeah, I was
Really,
just
it's
gonna
very
say
good. I
that.
want to
Thank you, Mary, and thank you, Jennifer, for the internal audit that called out some gaps. And that's why we're kind of delineating the IDA and the LDC policies. So it's good just to
Good
keep
job.
us in line. So I appreciate that.
Good reading.
Okay, I'm going to do a roll call vote on this one.
Good reading.
Cameron Hall.
Aye.
Bob Hutchison.
Aye.
Jan McGregor Clark.
Aye.
Mayor Moses.
Aye.
Chairman Palmer.
Aye.
Davis Pekulski.
Aye.
Norma Russer Kelly.
I,
Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Lance is not here. Carrie. Bob, I had you on here. Oh, we talked about investment possibilities in my director report, so we'll skip that. We just want to provide an update. We've had some good communication on the Steel Winds project.
Yeah, the
in
Steel
Hamburg.
Woods project, the labor union's got a contact out of GE, and they're putting together training programs and stuff, and GE is pretty interested in getting our local guys trained because they've got other projects throughout Western New York. So it was a good step forward. I think there's good communication going on right now. So, and the ECIDA got involved too a little bit with this because they also, on their labor, were questioning a little bit. So was a good step forward by the board to bring this to light. And in the future, we'll take a look at this too with any other big companies that come in and they have special training programs. How do we get them here in Western New York? Like Janet says, bring them to BOCES, bring them where you gotta go.
We made a resolution last meeting I remember correctly, to ask that question right on the application, correct? I thought we did, or
Yeah, we discussed it.
We discussed it.
Yeah, we make a resolution.
I was not here, so.
Yeah, I don't.
I'd have to look, I can go
Somebody did
back to
something,
the.
didn't
Well, we talked about putting it right on the application.
Yeah.
I think we
To add
did.
a question, are you aware of and will you adhere to?
And also, is there any special?
Is there any special
Right.
warranties?
Yeah, is there
special
That was the
training?
loophole there.
Yeah, warranty with training workers.
Okay, let me carry that as an item
Yeah,
here.
just
And then I'll go back to the recording and see what
I may
we
be,
identified
incorrect on
specifically,
that.
and then I can propose it in the July meeting.
thanks for following up on that, Bob.
No problem. Really had no choice but find people emailing you better.
Thanks for that reminder. Okay, thanks, Bob.
Okay.
Next item is privilege of the floor. I noticed that we do have a guest. We haven't gotten to the new business items, but does anyone have any public comment at this time? Okay, I'm going to go on to new business. The first item is an Amazon clarification resolution, Amazon and Bayview Road Associates for previously approved benefits. I will speak to this resolution a little bit. You can read through it. We can go into question. We do have representatives here from Bayview Road and Amazon.com on the Zoom, and then we can go from there. So this is a mandatory inducement resolution for Bayview Road Associates and Amazon.com Services Incorporated. Whereas the application specifically confirms that the company as landlord will make a $42,200,000 investment with respect to the project, and of that amount, expenditures in the amount of $15,200,000 will be made on goods and services that are subject to sales and use taxes, resulting in $1,330,000 of sales and use tax exemption benefits as so authorized in by the original resolution. And whereas the application also specifically confirms that the tenant will make a $5 million investment with respect to the project, and of that amount, expenditures in the amount of $5 million will be made on goods and services that are subject to sales and use taxes, resulting in $437,500 of sales and use tax exemption benefits. And whereas the original resolution authorizes expenditures in the total amount of $47,200,000 with respect to the project, however, the agency desires to confirm the allocation of financial assistance to be provided to the company and the tenant respectively. And whereas the application and the original resolution confirm the company will seek mortgage financing in the amount of $33,760,000, known as the original mortgage amount in mortgage financing. The additional mortgage amount resulting in a consolidated mortgage amount of $40 million, the consolidated mortgage amount. However, the company confirms that it will not seek any mortgage recording tax exemption benefit on the additional mortgage amount. And whereas, pursuant to Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law, Chapter 43B of the Consolidated Laws of New York as amended, the Seeker Act, and the regulations adopted pursuant thereto by the Department of Environmental Conservation of the State of New York, collectively with the Seeker Act, SECRA, the agency must satisfy the requirements contained in SECRA and the regulations prior to making a final determination whether to undertake the project. And whereas on January 26, 2021, the Town Planning Department and Town Engineering Department, in consultation with the agency, confirmed that the project was reviewed as part of the overall development considered under the DGEIS and FGEIS, and the finding statement. That no established thresholds and impacts as identified with the DGEIS, the tenant. I'm missing a page here, thank you. The FGEIS and finding statement are exceeded by the proposed project such that no new significant adverse impacts to the environment are anticipated, that no further environmental review is required for the proposed project, and that no further secret compliance is necessary in accordance with section 6.17.10D1 of the secret regulations because project conforms with the conditions and thresholds established in the DGEIS and FGEIS and the finding statement accepted and issued by the town. Now therefore be it resolved by the agency as follows. All recitals, findings, and determinations of the agency contained in the original resolution are hereby reaffirmed, ratified, restated, and incorporated herein by reference as if set forth herein in their entirety, except as modified by this amendatory inducement resolution.
Would you like me to
I
sign
found
this?
that.
Yes. But once Sean is done.
Yeah. In reviewing the project pursuant to SECRA and in consideration of the DGEIS and FGEIS, the finding statement and the Town Planning Department, Town Engineering Department, January 16th, 2021, that no further secret compliance is required for the project because it will be carried out in conformance with the conditions and thresholds established in the finding statement. Section 4 of the original resolution, Section 3, Section 4 of the original resolution is replaced in its entirety to read as follows. The chairman, vice chairman, executive director, secretary, and assistant secretary of the agency, other appropriate officials of the agency, and its agents and employees are hereby authorized and directed to take whatever steps may be necessary to cooperate with the company and the tenant to assist in the acquisition and construction of the project. Section 4. Section 5 of the original resolution is replaced in its entirety to read as follows. Section 5, the company and tenant are hereby authorized to undertake the construction of approximately 181,500 square foot building to proceed with the acquisition and installation of equipment in connection therewith at a combined cost not to exceed $47.2 million, subject to the obtaining of all required approvals from the town and other involved governmental agencies, and to advance such funds as necessary to accomplish such purposes. The agency is hereby authorized to enter in such agreements with the company and the tenant as the chairman, vice chairman, executive director, or other officer may deem necessary in order to accomplish the above. Section 5. Section 6 of the original resolution is replaced in its entirety to read as follows. Now highlight the important section here. The agency is hereby authorizes and approves that the value of the mortgage to be placed upon the facility shall not exceed $40 million. And based upon the original mortgage amount as so authorized by the agency within the original resolution, and the additional mortgage amount is authorized by this amendatory inducement resolution, and notwithstanding the additional mortgage amount and the new consolidated mortgage amount, that the recording tax exemption benefit shall not exceed $253,200 as so calculated based on the original mortgage amount. The agency hereby authorizes and approves the tenant as its agent to make purchases in goods and services relating to the project that would otherwise be subject to New York State and local sales and use tax in the amount estimated up to $5 million. And therefore, the value of the sales and use tax exemption benefits authorized and approved by the agency cannot exceed $435,000. However, the agency may consider any request by the tenant for increases to the amount of sales and use tax exemption benefits authorized by the agency upon being provided with the appropriate documentation detailing the additional purchases of property or services.
Was it with that line?
I'm
that's all?
almost done. I'm almost done.
Okay.
Section 8. Section 12. The execution and delivery of a mortgages from the agency and the company to a lender selected by the company, approved by the chairman, vice chairman, executive director, or assistant secretary in amount not to exceed $40 million and other ancillary documents if required. The resolutions contained within this amendatory inducement resolution shall take effect immediately. Okay,
And it's just a simple clarification on that before I stop you there. That's through board action only, right? In other words, they want to increase it, they have to go through the board.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
That's board action.
yes, they,
You understand?
yeah.
Right.
Okay.
With any, this is more of a general question, with any project,
Yeah.
an operator, can come to us at any time and ask for an increase in benefits, but it's up to the board has to manage that. You have to answer that question and approve that increase in benefits if above, whatever amount you've previously stated.
Can we just maybe state what's being asked in lay speak?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Should we get a motion through this and then on the question, or
We should explain it first so they know what they're.
Okay.
what you're voting on.
do you want to go?
Absolutely. So the revised resolution adds additional language on the environmental review that was done. As you can see from what Sean read and what's in front of you, they break down the dates of everything. This site was pre-permitted by the town years ago. And then, of course, for the specific project, additional environmental review done by the town. So that is broken out in the resolution. The new resolution also allocates the sales tax. There's no increase in the sales tax benefits being given. It just clearly states which portion is going to Amazon and which portion is going to Bayview. That way they're not responsible. If either entity exceeds the sales tax, that entity is subject to recapture. The other entity does not get in trouble. It also makes it easier for Sean and Mary to monitor and do their annual reporting with the state. And then because of the project costs having increased, Bayview needs additional money, an additional $6 million in their mortgage. Because of the language of the standard IDA closing documents, the lease and the leaseback agreement, the IDA has to consent to that mortgage. And it's also a requirement of their lender that the IDA sign that document. But they are not receiving any additional mortgage tax benefit on that extra mortgage amount. There will be 2 mortgages signed at closing, one for the original approved amount that will receive the original approved mortgage tax abatement, and then the additional mortgage, which will be signed by the IDA, who will not receive any mortgage tax. They will pay the full 1% mortgage tax on that extra $6.
And to clarify, Jennifer, this is much like other projects we see where, let's say, a person that has, or entity that has these benefits comes to us later when they refinance a loan. We have to sign off on that refinance,
We
correct?
just did that last month with Sharma. Right, they did not ask for any benefits, but you still had to sign off on the mortgage, because that's what your closing documents require.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Janet.
I'll second.
Thank you, Davis.
Spending money today, Dave.
And we will do a roll call vote. Cam Hall,
Aye.
Bob Hutchison,
Aye.
Jan McGregor Clark,
Aye.
Mayor Moses,
Aye.
Chairman Palmer,
Aye.
Davis Bukowski,
Aye.
Bob Reynolds,
Aye.
Norma Russer Kelly.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried. Okay. Now get back to work, gentlemen.
We are hoping to close the project yet this month.
Hopefully by the end of the week.
Okay.
That would be our goal.
Okay, well,
Maybe next week. I'll be happy with the end of the week.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Good to see
you.
Thank you.
Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it.
Next item on the agenda is Carbon Activated Corporation Project Resolution. I am, at this time, with the start of this meeting, the public hearing is closed. We have not received any written or further public comment on Carbon Activated Corporation. As the board recalls, on June 14th, we had a public hearing where the project operator was present to speak to the project. Now I have a resolution of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency authorizing Carbon Activated Corporation to purchase and renovate an approximately 74,000 square foot existing building located at 3830 Jeffrey Boulevard in the Town of Hamburg as agent for the agency, for lease to the agency and subsequent lease back to the lessee, who will be the sole occupant of the facility, all for a back office and warehouse facility, and to take other action. The assistance contemplated by the agency will include mortgage tax abatement, sales tax exemption on any materials and or equipment purchased for incorporation into the project, and real property tax abatement in accordance with existing agency uniform tax exemption policies. The lessee, Carbon Activated Corporation, has submitted an eligibility questionnaire and other materials and information to the agency to initiate the accomplishment of the above. The agency has, after giving all required notices, held a public hearing on the project pursuant to section 859A of the general municipal law. The lessee will retain its existing 10 full-time employees and 5 part-time employees, and if the assistance is granted, they anticipate hiring another 12 full-time employees and 7 part-time employees at the project location in the town of Hamburg within 2 years following the completion of the project. Now, therefore, the town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency hereby resolves as follows. The agency hereby determines that the acquisition, construction, equipping, and installation of the project and the financing or other assistance thereof by the agency pursuant to the New York State Industrial Development Agency Act will promote and is authorized by and will be in furtherance of the policy of the state as set forth in said act. The chairman, vice chairman, executive director, secretary, and assistant secretary of the agency and other appropriate officials of the agency and its agents and employees are hereby authorized and directed to take whatever steps may be necessary to cooperate with the lessee to assist in the acquisition, construction, and equipping of the project. The lessee is authorized to initiate the purchase and renovation of an approximately 74,000 square foot existing building located at 3830 Jeffrey Boulevard in Hamburg. The lessee, who will be the sole occupant, all for the provision of back office and warehouse facility and to proceed with the acquisition and installation of machinery, equipment, furnishings, and fixtures required in connection therewith for a total project cost not to exceed $5,750,000, subject to the obtaining of all required approvals from the town of Hamburg and other involved government agencies to advance such funds as may be necessary to accomplish such purchases. The agency is hereby authorized to enter into such agreements with the lessee as the chairman, vice chairman, executive director, or other officer may deem necessary to accomplish the above. The lessee is authorized to make purchases of goods and services relating to the project that would otherwise be subject to New York State sales and local use tax in the amount up to $700,000, which may result in New York State sales and local use tax exemption benefits not to exceed $61,250,000. The agency hereby authorizes and approves real property tax abatement benefits structured through a 10-year payment in lieu of taxes agreement pilot estimated to provide $604,314.50 in real property tax abatement benefits and resulting in an estimated total payments in lieu of taxes of $160,640.56 over the term of the pilot agreement. The agency hereby authorizes and improves the value of the mortgage to be placed upon the facility shall not exceed $3,900,000 and the recording tax exemption benefit shall not exceed $29,250. The resolution shall take effect immediately and continue in full force and effect for 1 year from the date thereof. On or after such 1 year anniversary, the agency may, at its opinion, terminate the effectiveness of this resolution, except with respect to the obligations of the lessee pursuant to sections 12, 13, 14, and 17 of the resolution, which shall survive any expiration or termination, or allow the lessee additional time which to close transactions contemplated by this resolution based upon affirmative actions taken by the lessee to accomplish such transactions. Adopted June 16th, 2021.
I make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Andy.
I'll second.
Thank you, Bob. On the question.
I just one comment, the jobs that are being provided there are $50,000 a year. Was told to us, right? Correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
So
12 of them, that's, that's $600,000 a year at least.
an annual, an annual salary. This is one that it's a very, this is a big win for me. I don't know why, but this site has just bothered me since I started working with you at the Hamburg IDA. The Jeffrey Boulevard is a thriving industrial park. The site sat inactive. The railway, they're actually taxed on a different level. So the taxes on this property, for example, for the town, they pay like water and sewer tax. So their bill last year for the town was $930 to carry a 74,000 square foot warehouse on, I think, like a 10-acre parcel of land. It's that's how, certainly the railways provide a ton of commerce and benefits. But when this building is inactive, my thought was, the town's really losing out on this project. It's starting to become subject to slum and blight. That's everyone's kind of perception, but it was a vacant building, under maintained. Got Norfolk Southern, annoyed them enough to get them to bring the site to market. We have a great local employer who's looking to expand here. It took some time in negotiations, but they reached a price. We're able to, provide the catalyst here to make this project happen. So for a great local employer, they're continuing to maintain a site on Hoover. They're expanding in the town of Hamburg. They supply activated carbon in two forms, really throughout the East Coast, up into Canada. So it really continues the theme of Western New York being a great, essentially border town for manufacturing and distribution. And we're getting 19 jobs out of it. It's hands down a great project, and I appreciate your support and help getting to this point today.
I would like to publicly say too that I doubt it very much happened if you weren't as persistent as you are, Sean, so thank you.
Thanks. All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Cam Hall.
Aye.
Bob Hutchison.
Aye.
Janet McGregor-Plar.
Aye.
Mayor Moses.
Aye.
Chairman Palmer.
Aye.
Davis Bukulski.
Aye.
Robert Reynolds.
Aye.
Norma Russer Kelly.
Aye.
And Wentz is absent. Motion carried. That is great. Okay, next item on the agenda is Mary Doran. Her employment contract is up at the end of this month. Submitted in your board packet is a contract extension or amended contract. This was submitted and reviewed by the executive committee and now further to the board. The highlights of this contract are wage changes, increases in her wage or hourly wage. And this is based upon market data. We received some information through the town of Hamburg on similar positions. We talked to, some the legal community for some advice as to the wages as contained. And then also the contract is updated with current employment law standards in terms of leave, so leave for a number of reasons as mandated through the state of New York are incorporated into this contract.
I'll make a motion that we adopt it as presented.
Thank you, Janet. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Bob.
Vice Chair, you might as well second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
You are awesome.
She is.
Yeah.
She doesn't like the spotlight, but whether or not you like it, Mary, you definitely deserve it.
Yep.
Okay, the next item is based on the director report. I'd like a motion of the board to authorize the executive director to draft and send a communication on the proposed legislation regarding the IDA fee bill that is to be signed into law.
So move.
Thank you, Andy.
Second.
Everyone.
Davis, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, last, motion to adjourn the Hamburg Industrial Development Agency meeting at 8:16 a.m.
So moved.
Thank you, Janet. Second. Thank you, Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?